Competition between the United States and Japan. It's the 1992 Dodge Challenge.
For those of you who missed it, a great battle occurred in the men's team competition where the United States ended up victorious by just over 1/4 of a point. In the all-around competition, Jared Hanks just lost out to Sato from Japan. And so now we turn our attention to the women's events. John Neighbor with Kathy Johnson. As each athlete is out there performing by themselves, the glare of that spotlight must increase the tension a bit.
John, there's a lot of excitement surrounding these American women because, in essence, these gymnasts are on the bubble. They have a shot at making the Olympic team this year for Barcelona, so there's a lot of pressure that goes along with that excitement. I asked a lot of them what they like most about the competition. Surprisingly, they said the pressure, so we'll have to see how they handle it here.
And, of course, as we test the pressure, we will reveal the strength of this team. Bart Connor, an opportunity for U.S. Gymnastics to introduce or at least reveal another superstar.
Well, there's no question about that. And, you know, every once in a while, a gymnast comes along that just completely electrifies the crowd. Mary Lou Retton could do it. The current world all-around champion, Kim Zmeskal, can do it. And there's a young lady here, 15-year-old Dominique Dawes from Maryland. She can do it. And when you see her on the floor exercise, she's going to completely ignite this crowd. I can't wait to watch.
Now, 2 of the events have already taken place, and at this point in the standings, the United States is dominating Japan. 3 full points lead so far. In the all-around competition, the United States has the top 4 spots with a 2-way tie for first. One of those 2 leaders, Dominique Dawes, at 15 years of age, is creating a lot of attention. She's certainly stolen some hearts as well as some judges' scores in this competition.
And most important for the U.S. women, she followed a 9.85 by Heidi Hornbeek and a 9.8 by Michelle Campy. Watch the beautiful flare position after the twist and, of course, the perfect landing. Scored a 9.95 and set Stephanie Woods up perfectly.
Great flourish at the end of her vault action. 9.95 was the highest score that was seen in that event. Also performing in the vault, Stephanie Woods, a gold medalist at last year's Pan Am Games in Cuba.
She didn't have the flare position like Dominique, but look at the height and distance on this vault. And again, another very good landing. She also scored a 9.95. Wendy Bruce rounded out the rotation with a 9.95 as well.
In the second rotation, the United States continued to overwhelm Japan. Here's Michelle Campy, who won a silver medal at the last World Championships.
And with this beautiful full twisting double back and a great landing, she was one of 4 U.S. women to score 9.9 on this event.
So now we rejoin our action on the third rotation. It's the balance beam, and next up is Wendy Bruce. She's one of our co-leaders, has suffered injuries recently, and so we had the opportunity to talk to her about how she feels competing now after being out for so long.
I feel more confident in myself, and I'm not as intimidated going to a meet. And I feel like I was before I got injured, where I'm really comfortable in a meet. Instead of being nervous, I feel pumped up and psyched to go.
And it's her turn to prove it on the beam.
And Wendy's gymnastics has really shown a lot of maturity since coming back from those injuries. All of her routines have been upgraded. The composition is much more difficult, more unique. Here's her most difficult pass, 2 layout step outs. Oh, you could see the little stutter step in between the layouts, which gave her a little trouble on that second skill. Side some, oh no. What a shame to see that happen just as she seems to have regained her competitive confidence. Of course, that's 0.5 of a point deduction for the fall. Gainer layout off 1 foot. Of all of the events, when you're just coming back into competition, this is the toughest. To really get your mind in gear and able to compete, control the adrenaline, control the nerves. Here's the dismount. It's a round off double back, tough position, little hop. Oh, what a shame to see her fall. But as I said, it's really difficult to come back on this event. And I think that will just take a little time. And these are the competitions she wants to get under her belt. Now, if you watch closely, you can see the trouble began on this second skill here. Her hips are a little out of line. She has a little stutter step. And the third skill is actually short of rotation. And she's way off it. Boy, she pulls it back on.
Well, Wendy Bruce, who placed as high as 11th in the all-around at the 1989 World Championships, clearly disappointed with a 9.125. That will drop her well out of the all-around standings. Our next athlete from Japan, Hitomi Sakai.
She does a round-off layout mount. This is probably the Japanese women's best event in terms of their level of difficulty. 2 layout step outs, just like we saw Wendy do, and almost the identical balance break as well. This is her most difficult pass coming up right here. It's a 3-element pass, cartwheel, back handspring into a layout step out. Again, she checks her balance. Each one of those is a 1/10 to 2/10 of a point deduction. Though she certainly has enough skills of difficulty, the composition of this routine is really very stock. Nothing unusual, nothing different.
This is Hitomi's first international competition.
Her dismount is also a double back. And that lands a little short and has to take that step forward.
And so as she awaits her judges' scores, we'll take a short break and be back with more gymnastics after this.
We will now begin
with the Dodge Challenge.
We just saw Hitomi Sakai finish her beam routine. Her official mark's a 9.65. You're now looking at our co-leader in the all-around, 15-year-old Dominique Dawes. She's powerful and exciting. For more on Dominique, here's Kathy Johnson.
At only 4 feet 9.5 inches tall, this 80-pound dynamo is one of the most dynamic and powerful tumblers on the national team. Known as Awesome Dawsome, 15-year-old Dominique Dawes was born to be a gymnast.
I'd have to say my strong points is my power, but sometimes I don't use my power correctly and my technique's not always right, but I believe my power and my tumbling is the best.
At the 1991 U.S. National Championship, she placed first on the floor exercise, then went on to tie teammate Kim Zmeskal for first place at the American Cup with this very same routine.
I feel like I would like to turn on the crowd, not the crowd turn on me, and I'd like to just keep smiling and get them into my routine, and for them to feel the enthusiasm that I'm feeling at the same time.
When she gets out in front of people, she likes to please the audience, and that's what she's there to do, not to just go through motion. She wants the reaction and response of the audience.
To make her twice-a-day workouts more manageable, she lives with her coach, Kelly Hill, in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Their day starts early, and even while at the breakfast table, Dominique's mind is on gymnastics, as dreams of Barcelona become more than a fantasy. The rest of the day is very regimented. She's out of the house, books in hand like any other schoolgirl. But first, she goes to the gym for a morning workout. After training, it's off to school for 4 straight classes, then back to gym for stretching, ballet, and more practice. Daydreams at school are not about an upcoming dance or social event, but Barcelona in July.
My dreams are to be on the 1992 Olympic team in Barcelona, and I'd also like to stay into the sport and hopefully get a college scholarship. And then if I'm strong and healthy and able to do gymnastics at a really good caliber, I'd like to go for 96.
As a sophomore at Gaithersburg High School, Dominique is anything but another face in the crowd. Her dreams of Olympic glory may very well come true.
But right now, her focus of attention is on the beam. She's next up, tied after 2 rotations for the all-around, but 4 of the 5 Americans who preceded her on the beam had lackluster performances.
All except for Kristen McDermott, who did an excellent job scoring a 9.85. Dominique has steadily improved on this event. all of her movements have become much more polished. Here's a difficult pass, two layout somersaults. It's quite a unique pass as well. Most of the gymnasts who do that pass do the back handspring and they step out. She lands on 2 feet. Front tuck somersault. Little check on the balance. She shows nice extension on her jumps. Really shows that full 180-degree split in the air. Something the judges really like to see. And this is unbelievable. Watch this pass. 2 back handspring, full twisting double back. Most of the gymnasts are performing double back. She adds a twist and does it out of 2 back handsprings. Incredibly difficult.
And one of the first to congratulate her, Coach Kelly Hill.
She was complimenting her on her ability to handle the pressure. And that really is nice to see from a very young gymnast. See how I said that's a unique way of doing this pass? She lands the first back handspring on 2 feet rather than step out. And this is just great. 2 back handsprings, just like she's tumbling on the ground. Full twist on the first somersault, pulls that second one right around.
Scoreboard, Dominique draws on balance beat 9.9.
As she said, her strength is her power, and it's evident there.
The official marks 9.90, the best score ever received in this competition on the beam. So the United States holds on to a strong advantage over Japan in the women's competition. In the all-around competition, the United States still dominate. Dominique now holds the lead to herself. The women's all-around competition. Next up is Heidi Hornbeek. She lives here in Phoenix, and we asked her if stepping up to an elite level of gymnastics has changed her in any way.
I used to just think of gymnastics as going and competing, getting nervous, and then doing your stuff, and now it's fun to go out there and compete in front of all those people.
How does it feel to compete among the very best and do well?
It's kind of awkward because I never thought of being up there, and I always thought of just, you know, being a local kid doing gymnastics and going to state meets and stuff.
Well, you can see her concentration is complete. There's certainly a large applause for the local favorite in the floor exercise.
She dropped from 3rd to 4th in the all-around in the last event when she fell off the balance beam. So I think she has a little added incentive here on her last event. She opens with a piked, full twisting double back. Very nicely done. You can see her toes are not quite pointed all the way and her legs aren't completely straight. She really needs to work on the clarity of her movement. Another pike double back. I know she was really working on these landings, something that was not her strength in the past. You can see right there where her ankles kind of fall over a little bit. She just needs to work the strength of her feet. Here comes her final tumbling run. It's a double back again, but this time in tucked position. Oh, the best landing of them all.
And a grand finish and great applause from the local crowd. Very supportive for Heidi Hornbeek at 15 years of age. Her father's a detective on the local police force.
This was very good for Heidi's confidence after falling on the balance beam to come back very strong on the floor exercise and particularly work on an area that she's had trouble with in the past, and that's the landing. She does this piked, full twisting double back. Now watch how she sets it in perfectly. She usually bounces a little bit on the landing, so all the work is certainly paying off.
Well, Heidi's done well in a couple of events earlier, and here she turns in a great performance to close out her contest. 9.90, the marks for the floor exercise, and Heidi Hornbeek. Next up is the top athlete from Japan, Rie Ozawa, who's tied for 5th going into the final event.
This is one of the better choreographed routines in the competition. It works very well to the music. Unfortunately, she's not a real strong tumbler. She does a front flip through to a pike double back for her first pass. Great landing. It's a little combination that I like.
It's a good point, Kathy. Although her tumbling isn't anywhere near what we saw from Heidi Hornbeek, her technique and her presentation is quite good.
Her middle tumbling pass is a whip back. You'll see right here through to a double twist. Now normally we see double backs there or even full twisting double backs, so the difficulty really is not present in this routine. She actually looks a bit sluggish here. You notice she was having trouble on the leap. She doesn't quite have the energy she should at this point in the routine, particularly if you want to finish with a difficult pass. Her final tumbling run is a pike double back. Oh, and no lift at all. I was afraid that would happen. She did not look like she had the energy halfway through her routine to finish strongly. And I knew she was planning to finish with a very difficult pass for her.
A really weak takeoff. Oh, man. Luckily, she's okay.
Well, a big disappointment for Rie Ozawa. Her final mark's 9.0. Next up is Kristen McDermott from the United States at 14 years of age. She's been a quiet, solid performer throughout this competition.
This is a highly energetic routine, and she is a super tumbler. Very difficult tumbling runs. The first being a whip back right there through to a full twisting double back.
You talk about a contrast in energy. She looks like she could go all day.
Two whip backs through to a tuck double back. She can really pull out the landings. Like Heidi, she needs to work on the clarity of her routine as well. Really finishing every movement, polishing every skill. Right there, the toes should really be pointed, the legs locked out. Finishes with a tuck double back. Excellent work. She has had a great competition.
One of the most consistent performers on the U.S. squad. She's also the smallest athlete on this year's women's team, and certainly a candidate for the all-around title. We'll be back with more. She received a 9.90. This is Japan's Satomi Sakai. We saw her on the beam. She's getting ready for her final event of the day, the floor exercise.
And she is the strongest tumbler on the Japanese team. She opens with a full twisting double back. It's a very unusual technique. Most of the gymnasts do the full twist on the first somersault. She does half on the first, half on the second. Her choreography is not up to the level of her tumbling, however. Here's her middle pass. It's a front flip through to a double back. The judges really look for a more aggressive landing after those tumbling passes. You can see she takes little tiny steps rather than really sticking it. final tumbling run is a double back. Good height, but lands short. She pulled out a little too soon. And I said the main commentary here on this routine is that her choreography or the composition was really not unique. There was nothing special in it, and her tumbling, the level of difficulty is really just enough.
As you mentioned, Kathy, this is the full twisting double back. It does look like a half in the first flip and a half out in the second flip. That was certainly the best part of the routine.
And so the 17-year-old Hitomi Sakai gets a 9.70 on the floor exercise. That's the best mark received for a Japanese gymnast in the floor X. Now here is Dominique Dawes, the performance we've all been waiting for. She needs better than a 9.4 to win the all-around title, but many people expect much, much more.
This could very well be the highlight of the entire competition. Watch the speed and power in her tumbling. It's just amazing. Here's the whip back right there, through to a full twisting double back. What's great is she just turns on. Face lights up.
Yeah, the difference is unmistakable.
This is a great pass. Two whip backs to a double twist, and she's not done yet. Three back handsprings here to a double back.
And the crowd just roars its approval.
That's what the judges look for in the leaps. Complete split in the air, amplitude. Nice change of pace. And she finishes with a pike double back. She can see if she can come up with another good landing. And she does.
A fantastic performance. Dominique Dawes brings the crowd to their feet. And once again, Coach Hill is over there with the congratulations. For good reason, a great show. Everybody's making their way over to congratulate Dominique Dawes on a fantastic performance. And the marks are out. It's a 10. It's a perfect performance. It's a 10 for Dominique Dawes. What a thrill to end off the competition with that great score. Three great achievements in a single performance. A perfect 10 in the event, all-around championship, and the team title for the United States.
And this is easily the most interesting pass we've seen all day. Watch what she does here. Two whip backs in a row. She'll continue through to a double twist, and then she'll do a punch front and then step out and continue back.
Now you'll see right here she over-rotated that front and her feet kind of slipped out from under her. Normally she only does two back handsprings. She added the third so she could gain enough momentum to do the double back. That is important in terms of her ability as a competitor to be able to think that fast.
A lot of savvy from a 15-year-old. It's exciting to think what great performances lie in store in her near future. And so it should come as no surprise that the American women beat the ladies from Japan rather easily. Dominique Dawes wins the all-around competition. And we've seen some great gymnastics here in Phoenix. A perfect 10 on the floor exercise. The American men defeating a higher-ranked Japanese men's team. The women continue to be on a roll thanks to these young and new exciting faces. So for my partners Bart Connor and Kathy Johnson, this is John Neighbors saying so long from Phoenix, Arizona in the 1992 Dodge Challenge.
Frank Gibbert again from New York. We hope you've enjoyed our day. A reminder, tomorrow ABC Sports presents the Barcelona Dragons as they travel to Sacramento to take on the Surge in World League playoff action. And next Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports is the final jewel of the Chrysler Triple Crown Challenge. Preakness winner Pine Bluff will battle Casual Eyes for the $1 million bonus in the Belmont Stakes, and you'll see it live. Plus, we'll have the American Championship Racing Series. It'll continue with the Nassau County Handicap. Thank you for being with us. Good night, everybody.